Have you ever been captivated by the amazing 3D models in games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, or any other AAA game? I definitely have, and wondered quite a few times if it would be possible for us to make something of a similar quality. And now in 2024 we finally did it, and I'm going to show you the entire process in this video, so pay close attention. This is how we went from making low poly gun models to having some of the best realistic gun models in the industry. To give you some backstory, let me tell you what sparked the idea for us to create realistic assets in the first place. A few years ago, me and my co-founder David had a great idea to create a AAA realistic FPS template for Unreal Engine. In our minds, it was basically going to be the next Call of Duty, packed with cool features such as vaulting, sliding, tactical reloads, attachment swapping, gun customization and loadouts, multiplayer. It had everything. Sounds pretty easy, right? Of course, this sounded great on paper, but once we actually got around to working on these features, we quickly realized that it wasn't feasible to create something so complex within a reasonable amount of time. A classic mistake. And given that you've never seen said template on the stores, you can probably already imagine that it never actually released. Even then, it was a project that we worked on for months. We spent hours talking about techniques to add more realism to shooting, different procedural animation systems, and prototyping features that to this day we have yet to release. We even hired a freelancer to create realistic pistol models for this project, which turned out really cool. And even though we never ended up publishing the project or the pistol model, it proved out to us that making realistic quality assets was definitely possible. We just had to scale down the scope of the project to actually be able to finish such a thing. I'm not going to go much further on that story since that's not the main point of the video, but that's where it all started. However, we decided to start over. We realized we didn't really have the resources back then to create a full template with all the features and content we wanted, so we had to simplify. Thus, the low poly animated modern guns pack was born, which is just an animation and model pack. We decided to go with low poly art style rather than realistic for a few reasons. It meant that we could create the models ourselves, which saved us quite a bit of money, and we could create more of them in a shorter amount of time. It allowed us to test some of the concepts that we imagined for the realistic template, but at a much more reasonable scale. We could also use the income from this pack to eventually hire a professional 3D artist to create realistic models, and that one was pretty important to us. I'll tell you a bit later on in the video how much a custom 3D model from a professional artist costs. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. Anyway, it was only 8 months later when we finished the low poly modern guns pack that we felt comfortable enough to revisit the idea of creating realistic assets again. So we went on to search for a 3D artist freelancer that could make really high quality weapon models. Unfortunately, this time around it seemed that most people we found didn't have the skill level for it, and the 3D artist that we had worked with previously was not available anymore. But we kept looking. We got a lot of proposals from people that didn't even have a single gun in their portfolio. Not great for this specific situation. Fortunately, after a while of sifting through proposals, we found Javid, not to be confused with David, the animator and my co-founder, and he seemed to be a potentially good match, and after chatting with him for a bit, we decided to give it a try and see. Boy, let me tell you, we got really lucky. I'm gonna show you his art station because I genuinely think he deserves the praise and recognition from more people. We'll also leave a link in the description in case you want to check it out. Honestly, Javid, thank you for all the good work you've done for us. We couldn't have done this without you. In any case, we got right to work. There's a few undisclosed projects we worked on together, but we're not going to talk about those just yet. They are undisclosed after all. But at some point we started designing an assault rifle together, the one we're using for our new assault rifle pack for Unreal Engine, which is what we want to talk about. And we sent Javid the low poly AG-14W assault rifle model from the modern guns pack as reference, along with some realistic assault rifle examples. That way there would be already a solid base to start from. Once that was all set, the modeling process started. Javid and my co-founder David went through a bit of back and forth on the design and iterated during the process, but eventually it settled on what we have now, which is the amazing assault rifle you're already looking at and that you already seen. It took around a month to finish the model and the textures and cost us a whopping $2,400. I'm mentioning the price because a lot of people have this impression that it's cheap to have someone work every day on a 3D model for a month. It's not. The good news for you is that we're going to be dropping this as part of a pack, and it'll cost less than $2,400, way less. In fact, you can already try the demo in the description. It has a lot of cool gameplay, so honestly, just give it a try. With that, I hope I answered the question of how we went from low poly models to realistic ones. The process has been really interesting for us, and I hope it's been at least half as interesting watching it for you as it's been for me. I hope to see you back here in the next video. We still have a lot more to tell you about. This was Octavian, co-founder of Infima Games. Stay inspired.